One benefit we have when it comes to what's going on around the world right now is that we get to observe and watch what's happening and read the reports that are coming out of that region and understand what exactly it is we're looking for when it comes to SHTF escalation of almost any kind. They're giving us all this information via news reports as to what to watch out for before an imminent SHTF scenario occurs. So let's apply that information and pull it apart a little bit to kind of see what we might expect in our own neck of the woods if something like this were to ever occur in the future. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're talking about warning signs of SHTF escalation and how with what's going on overseas right now, we're actually receiving reports from the news media about what to expect in case of an imminent invasion, no matter where you are or when it will be. These are things that are going to line up regardless of the situation based on our current conditions. And we can learn quite a bit from watching what's going on over there right now and get ourselves better prepared for any kind of future scenario that might emulate what's happening. And if you're worried about something like that happening here in the United States, then hit the subscribe button below, because hopefully we can prepare for it together and, using this intel, be more strategic about our decisions when it comes to our own preparedness. Now, right now, the first thing they're telling us to watch out for in the sense of SHTF escalation and an imminent invasion is going to be cyber attacks. And this information is coming from the mainstream media, and they're literally telling us everything we should expect if we were ever in a similar situation. However, because it's in the lens of what's going on over there, they're not afraid to tell you about it. We can expect a different story if it was actually affecting us directly here from our own media, I guarantee you that. Now, cyber attacks is something that they think will go hand in hand with any kind of invasion, and it makes sense based on our modern society and the fact that cyber attacks has such an effect on things like infrastructure. And just recently, the banks and the defense ministry over in Ukraine were hacked, and we all know that there's a good chance of something happening there very soon here. So these are things that tend to line up. And now obviously the big one they're waiting for are cyber attacks that target critical infrastructure. Because basically if you can take out the internet, or if you can take out the electrical grid, or anything else that people rely on in order to either communicate or just survive, that's going to have a huge impact on how things move forward from there on out. So keep these things in mind, because if we're experiencing cyber attacks, especially ones that attack the critical infrastructure of our country, you know that the possibility of an invasion may exist. Now, moving on from there is information warfare. We all know that information warfare is a big one, and deception is key when it comes to any kind of war situation, right? So here's the thing. What we've witnessed so far right now going on over there is that we're talking, Moscow says troops are pulling out. Everyone else says, well, there's no evidence of that. We also talk about how everyone said the invasion was going to happen yesterday, but it obviously did not. So there's a lot of misinformation being put out there, which helps keep eyes moving and possibly away from the things that matter the most. And this misinformation or information warfare is something that you can definitely expect before any type of imminent invasion. And hey, some of those troll farms over there in Russia might exist right here on this channel, because a lot of times I see interesting comments about how nobody really should be talking about what's happening in Russia and Ukraine right now because it's not that big of a deal, right? And obviously there are other priorities we need to pay attention to, but I do question whether or not those comments come from some of this information warfare because they don't want people to concern themselves too much with what they're doing. Keep that in mind. Okay, so now the other thing to consider when it comes to an imminent invasion is a good example of what we saw in 2014 during the Crimea situation. And that was the little green men that came from Russia, right? And the idea behind that was that these unmarked military personnel arrived in the country but didn't have any flag and didn't have any kind of markings to distinguish them from where they were from. And that gave everybody time. It gave someone time to establish what they needed to establish in the sense of a network or a cell to be ready to move into action when that time was come. And that is something that we should all keep in mind, because this little green men situation could easily happen here in the United States or here in any other country, right? Because we know that infiltration is a big deal. And we also know that there's been lots of talks over the years about people from other countries operating within our own countries and then making a move when the time is right. So obviously we're talking about cyber attacks, we're talking about information warfare, and now we're talking about straight up infiltration and possibly sabotage on a certain level. And all those things line up to imminent invasion. So when you start seeing these things pop up in your region or in your country, that concern should start to grow based on the fact that these are all preliminaries before some kind of incursion. Now, The other thing that they're keeping an eye on, and like I said, I got all this information from mainstream media. I mean, they're literally telling us everything to watch out for right now because it's over there, not because it's here. When it's here, they won't tell you any of this, but we can actually learn from what's happening over there based on this type of intel that we have, okay? So military movements are also a big deal, of course, and we've been talking about that for a long time, and clearly the troop build-up and the amassing of troops on the border is a reason for why all the speculation even began. But not to mention the fact that they like to keep an eye on where those troops are, because strategic positioning matters. And especially when you're talking about heavy equipment like tanks and artillery being moved around and then being strategically located in places that could allow them to strike other strategic targets is a big indicator of imminent invasion. And these are things we should keep in mind as well. We all see lots of military hardware transporting all around the United States on a regular basis. And sometimes it's not even our own military hardware when you've looked at it closely enough. But what you can say is that by keeping an eye on and understanding where it's deployed could definitely give you an indication of a possible imminent threat coming your way. So clearly that's more of an obvious one, but it's definitely something that is important to keep an eye on. Now, the other thing that can give you a red flag towards imminent invasion is going to be media blackout. And we all know that a media blackout these days means a lot more than just telling the news station what to say. It's all related to social media, the internet, and every other form of communication that we have, especially in regards to social networking. So in countries like Russia, since 2019, they've been installing black boxes in their data centers and in their service providers in order to filter anything coming through those systems through the internet in order to make sure that it's approved or allowed to go through to the end user. And these are things that we should definitely keep in mind, because this media blackout situation would be a big indicator of something bad about to happen. Now, things like that have occurred in other countries, and we all know what happened in Kazakhstan recently. And yes, I do know how to say it correctly. So these are things we should definitely keep in mind if we're watching out for our own situation here in the United States, as well as whatever other country you might be in. If these different scenarios occur, you can bet that you are on your way to a very bad scenario. And we'll just recap one more time, but if you see cyber attacks, information warfare, little green men, aka infiltrators, okay, military movements on a large scale, especially with strategic positioning deployment, and media blackout all combined, you're really on your way towards an imminent invasion. And these are things we should know and be ready to respond to in case it gives us a little bit more time, right? And one thing I say a lot here on this channel, but I think is very true, is that preparedness is often about buying yourself time. It's not always about living forever off the grid by yourself in some kind of utopia where you can eat fruit off the tree every single day. One thing is definitely true though. The more time you have, the more chance you have to get to the next point, whichever that might be, either a new civilization or maybe some kind of new established system of governance or bartering or trade or who knows what else it might be. But either way, you have to survive the initial onslaught. And that's going to be a big deal anytime some SHTF escalation of any kind, especially in the sense of imminent invasion, occurs. So we need to do better and be more prepared for these scenarios. And by seeing these red flag indicators actually pop up, it buys us more time, because you will now know that this is happening before your neighbor will. You'll know this is happening before even people in your local municipalities will know, because not everybody pays attention the same way that people of a prepared mindset do. So buy yourself the time, be ahead of the curve, and be ready to go when these things start to happen, because there's no guarantee anything like this would ever happen here in the United States. But one thing you can do is learn from what's going on overseas and use it to your own benefit, which is exactly what we should be doing right now. So regardless of everything that's going to happen over there, do your best to prepare here and be ready for whatever might happen in the future now. And without anything else to say about it, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.